Welcome to today's Renewed Minds. This edition is brought to you by Church on Main, a welcoming and affirming church that is a safe place for you to be loved and accepted because we believe that's what Jesus wants us to do. Contact Church on Main at office@churchonmain.church for more details. And our podcast will be discussing challenges and opportunities we all face, no matter what season of life we're in. Our host will offer some practical tips we've learned over the years and also share how love and grace can help each of us while we're trying to maintain hope. Today's topic, sleep in heavenly peace. So welcome to today's Renewed Minds. We're going to discuss some real issues affecting families and communities. Today we're diving into a heartbreaking but often overlooked reality, kids without beds. Thousands of children across the country go to sleep every night on couches, floors, or even piles of blankets because they don't have a bed of their own. What can we do about it? Well, we'll be talking to our local chapter president of Sleep in Heavenly Peace that's making a difference for children and families. Stay with us as we shed some light on this issue and explore how we all can help ensure that every child gets a good night's sleep they deserve. In the studio today, we have Tommy McDerris, senior pastor of Church on Main in Blacksburg, Virginia, Tanya Dinkle, personal and leadership coach, and our special guest, Paul Mele. I'm going to embarrass Paul a little bit. Paul served 30 years in the United States Army, retiring at the rank of colonel. He's a veteran of operations in Somalia, Haiti, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Most recently, he served as a university department head for the Army ROTC program at Virginia Tech. But he has a passion for community service, and we're going to talk about sleep in heavenly peace. So, Paul, I'm going to launch Paul into this. He's new to our podcast.
Yeah.
Never joined us before, so we're glad he's here. We all failed retirement. Who's sitting in this room? I mean, Tanya's not retired yet, but
why not?
Why not? We all seem to have taken up other wonderful things after we retired. Yours is pretty unique, at least I think. So what is Heavenly Peace, number one? I'm sure people listening have no earthly idea what this is. So exactly what is Heavenly Peace?
Sure. Good day, everybody out there. Sleep in Heavenly Peace started back in 2012 as a way to engage community to solve the problem of child bedlessness. Bedlessness is not a real word, not yet in the dictionary, but CNN uses it and some other media outlets, so it's gaining traction. Really, Sleep in Heavenly Peace is about getting kids 3 to 17 years old into a bed of their own. So solving bedlessness in the way it was earlier described. Kids on the floor, kids on beds, kids on couches. Nobody wants to do that. So what we're going to talk about a little bit today is how we get kids into beds, because that's just better for them all around.
How did you get started in this, Paul?
By accident. Mm-hmm. Steve mentioned earlier a previous career. I knew that was drawing down, and it's not a real stretch from the Army to this. 30 years in the Army, what I tell people most put positive energy back in my tank, what most kept me going, was the leadership component. It was serving others, serving nation, helping families. Those happen to be families in uniform, soldiers, spouses, kids. So as I was drawing down in that career, I was kind of thinking, what's next? What am I going to do? How do I continue to serve community, church? And I stumbled across an episode of a Facebook series called Returning the Favor. A lot of listeners out there might remember Mike Rowe, kind of carries the tag, the Dirty Jobs guy. He had finished Dirty Jobs round 1, was doing a Facebook show called Returning the Favor, where people would send in nominations for him to come to their town and follow around what he labeled bloody do-gooders who are slightly better than the rest of us. So you'd write in and say, I've got this cop in my town, and he's always got a bike in the trunk of his squad car. And he sees a kid without a bike, and he gives him the bike and sends him on his way with a helmet, and then goes home at night after work, and he's got a pile of parts in his basement from the junkyard he's building houses or bicycles. Well, one episode was of a gentleman named Luke Mickelson. He was out in Idaho, and Luke started Sleep in Heavenly Peace in his garage. And it was a complete discovery by accident of the need to solve child bedlessness. Something we estimate 3% of kids aren't in beds between the ages of 3 and 17. And he grew out of his garage into what Sleep in Heavenly Peace is now. 331 chapters across the country, hundreds of thousands of beds delivered, hundreds of thousands of hours donated by community members, just doing great stuff.
I was doing some reading on Sleep in Heavenly Peace. I had an opportunity to participate in a couple of your bed builds, and as their statistics on their website says, Sleep in Heavenly Peace has donated over 250,000 beds since they started. What even shocked me more is they have over 1 million bed requests. That's just an incredible amount of kids who have no place to sleep. So go walk through the Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Exactly what happens in a Sleep in Heavenly Peace event? How do you get information from the children who need the bed? Because I see in our area we're almost at 1,200 beds delivered, which is incredible.
We are. Let's peel back those numbers just a bit. We, Sleep in Heavenly Peace at large across the country, have delivered 256,000 beds at the end of 2024. But you see that 1-point-something million number request, and you say, well, you people are only delivering 25% of the beds you've been requested. Here's the problem. Sleep in Heavenly Peace right now is only covering about 23% of the zip codes in the U.S. What we count as a bed requested is a bed request from anywhere. So that 750,000 of bed requests is coming into our national system without a SHP chapter in their area. So if you're out there listening, well outside the New River Valley or the other Virginia chapters, get on board and look and see, how can I solve and start a chapter where none exists? That's how I got into this. I saw the video. I thought, serving kids, using tools, cutting wood. I can get into that. I checked. There was no chapter here. Started one in 2019. What does a bed build look like in these 23% of the country's zip codes we've got? It is a event which allows volunteers to come and turn lumber bundles into bed components. So picture, if you will, a long parking lot, an indoor facility, wherever you want. Church parking lot, community center. We've built under pavilions. We've built inside school gymnasiums. Christiansburg Middle School sponsors a build every year along with Auburn Middle School. We do it on the gymnasium floor. We've been inside retail spaces. So anywhere you can spread out, we will have 4 lumber bundles of 2x4s, 2x6s, and other things dropped at one end. And volunteers, 60 to 80, we've had 130 volunteers on site, will be shepherded by the Sleep in Heavenly Peace chapter members. That's me and 8-9 other people to make sure you know what you're doing. We will take the lumber through about 12 stations, from unbundling it at one end, how it comes off the truck from Lowe's, one of our phenomenal national sponsors. And at the far end of that line, it will be recognizable as headboards and footboards, side rails, safety rails for the top bunk, slats to hold the mattress. It will be stained brown. It will have the letters SHP branded into it, like a horse getting a brand. Mm-hmm. And those components then get carried off. We sweep up and put the tools away, and we carry on. The people doing the building, again, are not SHP chapter members. They're not me and the 18 to 20 of us that help run the chapter and advertise and do the books. It's the sponsor, and the sponsor provides the money and the volunteers. A sponsor can be a church, civic organization. We use school groups. Some of the builds coming up are sponsored by the Interfraternity Council of Virginia Tech is raising $10,000. A church in Fairlawn, the Blacksburg Police Department, big supporter. Christiansburg Middle School doesn't put up school money. They hit businesses throughout the New River Valley and great folks step up and donate. So it's really a community event. SHP's key is we help build communities of purpose. And it brings all of these wonderful people together for about 4 hours on a Saturday morning usually to build 40 beds that we then put in storage at the ready for the kids in our areas that don't have a bed.
So then from there, what happens?
From there, the chapter members, usually the 18 to 20 of us, we process applications through our databases. We will swing by these storage areas where these beds are in storage. So now leave the large parking lot you had and imagine our 3 storage locations. We call them South, Middle, and North. Right here in Christiansburg, we store beds, bedding, mattresses, and the tools necessary to take those pieces I talked about, walk into a child's home. We hope on the first floor, sometimes on the 3rd floor. And no less than 2 people, usually 3 or 4, we will go in and assemble the bed, put the brand new mattress on it from some of our phenomenal sponsors across the country that give us reduced rates on mattresses like Linen Spa and Lucid. Brand new bedding, often donated by community members. Brand new pillow. And then we don't condone it, but often bouncing on the bed ensues immediately. And children are happy. Parents are happy. Children are happy. You know, the child is the one getting the bed, but you can see the dramatic effect on the family. So it's the sense of providing that caregivers have for the children. It's the better sleep and rest, which I'll spare you the reams of scientific data that say you do better in school when you have had a good night's sleep. So we delivered to 2 13-year-old girls, twins, and they had been sleeping for years head to toe on a couch. I'm not sure I would do so good in school if I had just spent the night with my sister's big toe in my nose. So we think it leads to a better family dynamic. Better rest leads to better learning, better attitudes. All around goodness comes from a community-provided sleep-ready bed, which we deliver to homes.
Excellent.
So there's several aspects here I definitely want to make sure we dig into. There's lots of ways that people can give.
There are.
So we'll talk about that. There's also the need. You talked about 23% of the U.S. is represented with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. There are people even within this local community of Blacksburg that would think, well, gosh, Blacksburg is an affluent town. We wouldn't have that sort of issue, and clearly we do. So how can people start to just kind of step back and go, this is an epidemic in every community. Everybody needs this. Like, what's that first step that people can take to assess the true need in the area that they're in?
Well, let's start in the order we were speaking there. First is the recognition that it's real. And as I move about and do community briefs and civic organization briefs and school briefs, it is fascinating the response I get. I don't mean to speak that everyone thinks this, but when you say Blacksburg, Montgomery County, Pulaski County, most people think tailgate, downtown, buy a T-shirt, hit the bars, leave town. That is not Montgomery County. So in my presentations, I throw up the census chart for the state of Virginia, which is broken down by color code of each county. The darker the color, the greater the aggregate below the poverty level. And Montgomery County is the darkest shade you can be. That is aggregate. Pulaski is one shade above. Radford is the darkest color you can be. We've got 150,000 people across Montgomery County, Pulaski County, and the city of Radford, and a tremendous percentage of them aggregate are below the poverty level. When you go to specific demographics, the numbers go well above 20%. And folks don't recognize the breadth of Montgomery County and how far it stretches out. So I'll often point out to people, even in the establishments that we're sitting in, if I'm sitting downtown, if I'm sitting somewhere over on First and Main, I can literally point across the street to 801 section housing, subsidized housing. I can point to family dwellings that I know have an enormous number of people in them, far beyond what you would put in a normal home, and they barely have anything higher than a box they're keeping their stuff in. So it is all around us in Montgomery, Pulaski, and the city of Radford. I would tell folks, look beyond your daily routine. If you're moving from an affluent neighborhood through the center of your town to your well-paying job, take a moment and consider who might be supporting you in that town, who might be serving you, who might be living outside the beaten path, if you will. And that's where most of this problem resides.
And the tough part in Blacksburg, even people who live in Blacksburg see Blacksburg as an affluent community, and housing costs are extremely high, and all of the above. So when you start talking about people that just don't have anything, including a bed, I've found people, their eyebrows raise and they start wondering, okay, is this really true? And some people won't believe that until they see it. How do you answer that question?
Pictures.
Mm-hmm. That's
pictures and stories. Stories stick.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to go into these large groups and hope that they're becoming mavens in spreading the word. Mm-hmm. So when I catch a 25-person professional group, and we are sitting at Bull and Bones at First and Main, and I can point across the street and say, do you see where Spectrum Paints used to be and some of the other places? Now look to the CVS to the right. Everything up there on that hill behind the CVS, I'm delivering all through there.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, well, I'm at McLean's. I'm at the movie theater. I'm having a $17 bucket of popcorn. Mm-hmm. Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Across the street from you, using that bus stop every day, are people that have no vehicle. They're trying to get to a low-paying job somewhere. And not all, but some of the housing in most of the developments around here are subsidized.
Mm.
The subsidized housing off of Givens Lane, the subsidized housing off of Merrimack are prefabricated and mobile home sections. So it's all around them. It's just tucked away where they're not seeing it.
Yeah.
And it is likely that if they are moving about town, they are possibly interacting with people in these straits, serving them, waiting on them, checking them out, taking care of functions around their affluent neighborhood, going back home to possibly children that don't have beds.
Yeah.
So there are lots of ways that people can get involved. So obviously, bed builds, and which my family has participated. Our church participates a lot in bed builds. Obviously, it's more than just the lumber. You mentioned mattresses, you mentioned bedding, and some organizations will fundraise cash. I heard you mention that, but then also do like bedding drives and things like that. So there are lots of ways that you can get involved, even if you don't feel that you can handle a saw or a sander or stain a piece of wood.
Yeah, thanks for taking us there. So I don't want to scare people off when they hear, oh, my organization can't sponsor a build. We have done a build over behind the now closed Hardee's on Price's Fork. In that Virginia Tech Foundation, very generous in letting us use the covered garage over there. We did a build about 2 years ago. We did 50 beds, so that's 50 times $250. That scares people off until they realize we had 7 organizations sponsor that. So now take 50 times $250 and divide it up by 7 organizations. We had 11 organizations there building. 4 organizations participated, but they were unable to provide money. And that's a lot of times that's the student groups. We get great support from various student groups, religious groups, fraternity groups. Corps of Cadets is a big supporter. So don't get scared when I say a normal build is 40 beds for 4 hours with 60 to 100 people if you want at $10,000, because you can crowdsource that. The Interfraternity Council's build coming up in conjunction with the Blacksburg Police Department, they're GoFunding it. That's 3,000 fraternity students, each donating. They've been challenged to donate 2 beers worth of money. So get 2 less. I'll say something here and they'll say, we don't drink that anymore. I'll say Pepsi Blue Ribbon. Okay. Or, 1 less 50-cent cup at top of the stairs. That's my pricing when I was here. And we'll crowdsource it. So certainly, yes, you can sponsor a build. The next is you can just donate money. We have groups, we have what are called bunkheads, people that donate on the monthly plan. So we love cash. We can spend that all over the place. A really great one, though, is a bedding drive. And I can provide all types of QR codes. We have an Amazon wish list. What works great is when a company like In Motion up in the CRC or the industrial park, Moog a couple of years ago, lots of churches. You put a big box out in the front of your company's foyer or in your schoolhouse, and you have kids or members donate twin-size bedding. A bed in a bag is a wonderful thing. It's just what it says. It's all wrapped together. It's color coordinated. I can grab it off the shelf real easy with a pillow, and off I go to a child's home. So sponsor a build, donate bedding, donate money, or come join the team. Reach out to us and come help be someone that delivers the beds, does presentations, spreads the word about us. Got a couple of computer programs you can help run if you want, but nobody joins to do that unless you're really a different kind of person. So come and join us for the reward of not just doing the build, but seeing what happens when we bring smiles and comfort to a family. That's where it really hits you. So we'll find a way for you to help.
So if we've got somebody listening who is in an area that doesn't have this resource and is starting to feel a pull, what are some ways that, and we'll definitely make sure that they know how to get in touch with you so that you can help them get started. But what are some gifts that you see people bring to the starting of a sleep in heavenly peace in their space? What are some skills that are helpful to have?
Well, let's see. I learned about it in March of 19. I went out to Idaho in August of 19 to get trained, and we didn't do our first bed build until August 1st, 2020. That's a year of hanging in there. So you've got to be persistent. You've got to be someone that is driven to not give up. And you've got to be someone willing to just keep talking the mission until all of a sudden it blossoms. So you've got to be able to nurture an idea in a community where everyone might just think you're nuts. I came home from Idaho with a 3-ring binder and an idea. And a year it took to get other people to say, that's not too crazy. We could give you some money. I remember the days when we had $83 in the bank account. You don't get a bed for $83. But so the willingness to hang with it, to persist, and to keep talking it everywhere until eventually it catches on and the mission sells itself. Kids in a bed is better than kids on a couch, and people start to catch on. And this community, the New River Valley community, caught on wonderfully. So if you're out there and you've donated, you've helped build, and you've talked about us and sent kids our way, thank you. But that's what I tell people. You build a small network, and then all of a sudden it takes off. Takes a little bit of management skills. Got to have a couple of people that know how to log on to things. We have grown from the days of paper and an Excel spreadsheet in 19 to a good number of databases that really make it wonderful and allow us to serve more people more efficiently with the monies we have.
That's
So
great.
a little bit of skill, a whole lot of heart.
Is there a national? If you're listening out here, is there a national bed build day, or is it more a local assignments whenever bed builds occur?
Each chapter, the 331 of them, pick their own build days. It's whatever folks can do. We don't do a lot in the winter because Sleep in Heavenly Peace New River Valley does not presently have a home big enough to build in. So if you've got a spare 6,000 square feet out there with a garage door, let me know. I'll come sign for it. There is one national build day, bunks across America, where every chapter tries to build on the same day just to see how many beds we can deliver in one day. But we're left to our own.
What's your record? Do you know what the record is for one day?
For one day, I don't.
Yeah.
Tommy, Tommy asking me a question.
Are you talking nationally, or are you talking
Yeah,
New
the
River
national.
Valley? What about
national,
New
what's
River? What has our chapter here done?
We have had a 100 build day, 100 beds in one day. Belmont Church over in Christiansburg used several hundred volunteers to build 100 beds in one day. I had to go to Roanoke and grab the Roanoke chapter's build line, that line I talked about. We had to set up 2 lines. They had so many people and were so aggressive at wanting to get 100 beds done.
Awesome.
I was thinking about giving that a try, about 100 beds, and I was talking to someone from Belmont Church, and they said, "Oh, please don't do that." they said that took all night. Ran way into the night, and they said do fewer beds and more times, and
Yeah, that one was, and then of course you've got to put the wind like we've got today. You've got to make it about 28 degrees with a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and then have the snow cone truck. Planning, that seemed like a good thing. Snow cone truck, not a good thing day off.
They thoroughly enjoyed it. They loved building the beds, and they had a great time. But they said, looking back, we probably should have done 3 bed builds or 4 instead of doing one.
They did tremendous. They hold the record. The next record is 70 over in the parking garage. We did 70, but 40 is the norm. And I tell you, when we have 80 or more folks, we have said go, a little welcome brief, and 3.5 hours later, we are closing the trailer door with all the tools in it, and our big flatbed trailer with the beds is pulled off. So when you've got a community motivated, paying attention and getting on it, it's you're putting 40 beds into the pile in under 4 hours. Pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. There's when I've experienced the bed builds that you've done, and anybody's listening wants to participate in this, Sleep in Heavenly Peace brings all the equipment. So you not bringing your own personal equipment. They have all the chop saws. They have all the drills. They have everything you need to do it. But I want to talk about the age of the people who are actually participating in this. What's the youngest age who's participated in the bed build? Just to let you know, there's a wide age group available who can participate in this.
That's true.
There is. So first, I'm glad you brought up that we do bring everything in case. Thanks for re-emphasizing. We bring everything. Okay? You don't know. All you've got to do is show up with a heart to serve, the ability to pay attention, and we will find a job you can do. I love it when folks will keep reaching out beforehand after they register, and I get this often, and it just makes me chuckle. I've got my grandfather's handsaw. Should I bring that? I've got a hammer. Can I bring it? And we've got so many well-intentioned people that are probably used to the kind of, hey, everybody bring something, and we're gonna do a little work around the church. Then they roll up on this, and they see 243 barcoded tools, and they see 4 chop saws at one end, and they see drill presses, and more DeWalt tools. It looks like Christmas in Lowe's. So we do take care of everything. The ages, One of the tasks is putting a washer on a 5-inch long lag screw. So we'll often take all the little kids and put them in a circle and dump a giant pile of a couple hundred lag bolts out in front of them and tell them, put this washer on a lag screw, count out 10 of them, and put them in a sandwich bag. Because that's what we take into a home per bed. We take a bed in, grab all this stuff, and we grab a Ziploc bag with 10 lag bolts, and that's what it takes to put the bed together. There are plenty of other tasks. We have had folks from 4 to late 80s. We could set you somewhere and have you sand. We can have you sit somewhere and bang things with a rubber mallet that is actually being useful.
Right.
So you come on out with a heart to serve. We'll find a way to put you to work.
When we did our first bed build here, I was shocked that it was for all ages. And we had several young parents that showed up with little kids, and they sat down and those kids started putting the bolts on, and they worked at it hard. They worked, the entire time we were out there, they were doing their part. And it was fun to watch it. It was a good time.
It's wonderful. In my presentations, I have a slide that says, no excuses, everyone can serve. And it is a picture from this church's build. We are in the north parking lot, and there is a young girl, I think maybe 5 at the time. She is standing on a flipped over giant sturdy Tupperware container. She is in pink cowboy boots, and she has got a DeWalt palm sander, and she is going back and forth on the board.
Yeah.
And so as I show all these pictures of the build, great videos from drones. I didn't have a drone when I was in college, but I think half the Virginia Tech student body has a drone. So when the Stamps scholars did a build on the roof of the Virginia Tech Foundation, they come over and, Mr. Paul, do you mind if we launch a drone?
Yeah.
I'm not in the FAA. I don't care what you do, but I want the pictures and video. Right. And then the last picture I show is of a build is that, okay, if you're watching this brief and think you can't help, and I put this one up. If she can sand wood standing on a giant container, you can. So anybody can help, Tommy.
It's a great experience. You were talking about when you did Belmont's, how cold it was with the truck. We did our first bed build here on the hottest day that we had in the summer of that year. Had no idea it was going to be as hot and humid as it was that day, but we still got it done. It pulled it off.
we did, and the belly aching that was is that the most gentle term?
That's probably the most gentle term.
The belly aching that started somewhere around Tuesday before the build when people saw the weather forecast.
Tommy, really?
That's not necessarily church leadership.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, right.
Man of the people listening to the people. I started hearing black asphalt, 100 degrees. That's the only build that we've gone and secured tents.
Yeah.
And so we needed to get out from the sun.
Yeah.
So we put up tents, and we tied off some of those tents to the wheels of your truck.
That's true.
As you ride up, because we couldn't drive stakes and big giant concrete beams we went to the gas station and borrowed. We found ways to have tents. So we'll help. If you're out there listening and you don't have a big enough space to do a build, I've got some squirreled away. I've got some parking lots in town that they let us build in. I've got the covered parking garage from the Virginia Tech Foundation. They let us use it when a small group doesn't have them. So come on out, because we've got companies as small as Collie Architects who like to come out and build. We've got tiny little groups like Catholic Campus Ministries of Radford University, just a couple of folks that love to come. And we've got organizations that will be bringing 100 people to a build, all wearing the same name tag. Community Housing Partnership, their Energy Solutions Division, sponsored a build. Wonderful. Brought all their own people. We did it at a church over in Christiansburg. And then I think they bought 2 pizzas per every person.
Wow.
So first we built beds, and then I ate enough pizza to get me through the rest of the week. You don't have to feed us, but the churches that put out potluck afterwards, we love it.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good idea. We didn't do that, as I recall.
Hint,
Take a note.
hint,
Take a
Tommy.
note.
Church over in Radford did a soup bar. So there were more crock pots than I've ever seen in one row, and they came together. They donated bedding, they built beds, and they fed everyone afterwards.
It just occurred to me we did do that because we did it, our first one after the morning worship service, and we got sandwiches from what was once upon a time the
Substation.
Substation.
Best
Substation 2.
Yeah.
Moment of
And-
silence,
I know
please.
it. That's right.
This is Hamid Lapawasa's fault that we don't get. Hamid's my neighbor and a friend of mine.
In fairness, you provided donuts before one build.
That's true. We
But
did.
a church member who shall remain unnamed, when the horde of cadets walked up to help set up and get started, offered them to go downstairs and have a donut first. I didn't see him again until 10 minutes after the build started, and no one else got a donut. So, watch your food around the cadets.
That's right.
Okay, so
We learned a lesson that time. So either buy more donuts or
That's right.
don't tell them they're there.
be strategic about when you share.
Truly a community event. So in all aspects of the word that you can say.
It is, and that's why that's why I used the word earlier. Community of purpose. Kids get a bed, but what we find is there's often a spark from someone getting involved in building a bed, and it's kind of the thing that isn't going on everywhere else. And I think we reach out to organizations and individuals in a kind of different way. It's come do this. And it doesn't mean all of the other efforts that the four of us in this room are diving into. To Our House and homelessness and the Interfaith Food Pantry and all of these wonderful other organizations that Sleep in Heavenly Peace actually works with. So I go to Micah's backpack and I stuff how to get a free bed flyer into their backpack. I'm going to go over to Agape and drop off flyers so that people getting services for other needs can learn of a way to get a bed. This is the first year, 2024 last year, we put flyers and advertising at the Christmas tree store. Why we had not done that before, I don't know. I've been involved with them. So we put flyers out, and when they came through and did the shopping, here you go, folks. When you think we've solved the need, 53 bed requests in 12 days. So I think we're doing good, and then I'm reminded, no, we're not. There's someone turning 3 years old every day.
Every day.
Yeah, it's true.
There's someone losing a job. There's someone being downsized. There's someone with an unexpected car repair. There's someone who couldn't stretch to make the gas bill in these horribly cold months we've had. And everybody wants to help, and they think, well, I'll give some money there and I'll do that. But when they hear tools and they hear bed, everybody can relate to a bed. Most people like to do things. So it's really an event where they can pitch in a different way. And I think there's a rebound from that. I think they feel good about helping, and they learn of other ways and they stay more involved. So we like to think it's not just to show up one time and leave. We like to think maybe we're kicking something off in their heart to have them continue to serve. And a number of them stick with us. So we see the benefit, and I hope others are seeing it too.
So no matter who you are, where you are, what your skills are, you can help. You can dig in. You can participate in some way.
Absolutely. I don't mean it's not a big help, but you can sit right where you're listening to this, on the device you're listening to this, and you go to our Amazon wish list, click dinosaurs and pickup truck bed and bed set, and it gets dropped off at my back door, and it will be on a kid in the New River Valley on a brand new bed soon.
Very good.
Awesome.
So how do we need to put this in to all our information podcasts to get connected with
How can people find
chapter?
Most find us through Facebook. And I know that has the rep of being for people not young, but Sleep in Heavenly Peace, New River Valley. That's our Facebook. If you want to see the organization's main page, it's shpbeds.org. And in those, use the tabs, find my chapter. That's how you find the chapter in this area. It's all zip code based. And you can click on my page there and see how to donate. You have links there to watch for when we're doing bed builds. So the Facebook page for our unique chapter, or shpbeds.org, and use the tabs called Find My Chapter, and you can see what we're up to and how to help us.
And if someone wants to reach out to you just to kind of pick your brain about how they can start a chapter in their area, they can use that same resource to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. On the SHP webpage, you can click Contact Your Chapter. On the Facebook page, you can message me. I have gotten much better as I've gotten older with using my thumbs to communicate. That seems to be a thing nowadays. You can reach out to me or you can email me at Paul, Paul, .Mele, that's M as in Michael, ELE, at shpbeds.org.
And I will personally volunteer to put Paul's phone number on the. We can give it out.
Such a giver.
I'm just trying to be helpful.
It's out there everywhere, and it's a Rhode Island area code, which means no one in the New River Valley will answer my phone. So it usually goes voicemail. Then I start texting and says, "This is the guy trying to bring the free beds you want." And just as I hit send, the phone rings. I say, "I thought it was Rhode Island spam." I know.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and about Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Such a blessing, the organization, and you bringing it to this area. We are so grateful.
I am thankful to you all. What I didn't ask people for, so if you can help in no other way, folks, spread the word. When I talk to folks, they say, "What's the number one thing you need?" And I always lead with finding the kids. We're going to find the money. We're going to find people. I'll build the beds if I have to myself, but I can't deliver a bed until I can find the kids. And I know we have not cured bedlessness in the New River Valley yet.
Amen.
So 1,200 beds delivered just by the simple percentages of the guess of 3%. We got a long way to go. 150,000 people in our service area. If you know of a school, a civic organization, I'll come talk to you. If you know of a community that might need help, point me in their direction. Let's spread the word. Let's get them all in the database. Let's start finding the kids without a bed, because nobody should sleep on the floor in our town.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, there you go.
Great
All
job.
right. So thank you again, Paul. We will link all of your information in the notes to the podcast so that can be easily found. And we thank you for listening and investing more of your time in the conversations that we like to have here about a variety of topics. So if you want to reach out to Tommy or myself, or if you want to get in touch with Paul through us, we are happy to do that. Just send us an email at renewedminds@churchonmain.church. You can also check out our Instagram, which is, I'm always struggling with the handle,
renewedminds.connect.
renewedminds.connect. So check us out there, and we will talk to you next time.
Sounds great.
Very good, folks.
Hopefully this brings a renewed perspective to the challenges and opportunities you're facing today. What steps will you be taking to show love and grace to everyone? If you have any questions or comments about our podcast, please send an email to renewedminds@churchonmain.church. You may also leave comments on Instagram at renewedminds.connect. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. Listen next week for the next Renewed Minds.